Welcome to Beyond Sunday, the King of Kings podcast, where we dive a little bit deeper into our message series and see what we're taking beyond Sunday. My name is Dina Newsom, and I have two amazing guests today. Go ahead and introduce yourselves, gentlemen.
You really oversold this. Like, people are
amazing. You're amazing.
Spider-Man is amazing. I'm Seth Flick, campus director here at
You're like
Millard
mediocre?
campus.
Like, what are you?
I'm a mediocre man. I'm out of all the superheroes.
Mediocre man. My name is Tyler Rolfson, campus director at Fremont.
And singer extraordinaire.
Oh,
we were
stop
just
it.
discussing. We were just disgusting. I'll try to make my words work today. So I don't know if you guys know this, but today is National Candy Day.
Yes.
Oh.
National Candy Day, celebrated so soon after Halloween. I feel like it's about the point where everyone's sick of candy right now, that this is an odd time to have it. But my question for you is, what's your favorite candy? What's your least favorite candy? Two-parter.
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like this is so trite, but like, you just can't top a Reese's peanut butter cup.
Oh.
I don't know if you guys agree with that, but that's my take. And then I'm not a big coconut fan. And so is it Mounds and Almond Joy that have coconut?
Those are so good.
Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Oh.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got the nuts.
Almond
Mounds
Joy's got
don't.
nuts.
You don't know
Mounds
these.
don't.
I'm just going to say
because-
Dina is the one singing right now. But no, I'm not a big fan of coconut. And so if I had to pick a candy to not choose, it'd be those two.
All right. So I do appreciate a good Reese's peanut butter cup. And like, you blended in a Culver's, a concrete mixer.
Amen.
Vanilla.
Amen.
Very good. But here's my favorite, and it's kind of like a niche or niche, depending on how bougie or fancy it might be. Whenever you get those school fundraiser candy bars that are caramel-filled milk chocolate bars, there is something about those specific kind of caramel-filled, that is my view of the marriage feast of the Lamb that happens here now before eternity. So that's what it is.
Now, do you think that those go bad? Because I think I have about a dozen of those in the back of my fridge that my son sold for some school fundraiser over a year ago.
So I will say this. Let us bring those to the next Beyond Sunday podcast. I will eat them on air, and then we'll see what happens.
We'll find out.
Yeah. That would not be my least favorite candy, though, even though I was a year old. So here's my least favorite candy. There is, I believe, 100 only pieces of this candy. It's the peanut butter kind of candies that are wrapped in only orange paper or black paper. And usually only folks who are over a certain age hand those out at trick-or-treating.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the same 100 pieces all throughout the world that just gets recycled from Halloween to Halloween to
Because
Halloween.
no one eats them. They
Because
just
no one eats
pass
them.
along.
It's a very scarce resource.
It is.
In our beloved land, yeah.
The laws of supply and demand do not affect the consumption of this candy. It's like when you would go trick-or-treating and someone would give you the popcorn balls that no one would ever eat. They would just go into a bucket where dads and moms would dad and mom tax whatever was in that bucket, except for that and that other orange and black wrapped candies. And then same mom and dad would just add Laffy Taffy to that for the next year. And then just on unsuspecting trick-or-treaters, they would just like give a king size bar and like all 10 of them would go in the same thing.
So year after year, these candies get sprinkled throughout the neighborhood until they find their way back to the original house.
Yes. And then the world ends and Jesus comes back.
And that's our eschatology, folks.
All right. My hands down favorite candy is Haribo gummy bears. And it's got to be Haribo. And I don't even know if that's how you say it.
I was going to say, is it not Haribo?
Say it. Haribo. I don't know. I say Haribo. Sounds like hair bow.
You are the host, Dina.
You can say whatever you want.
What I say goes. Those are my favorite. My second favorite is a very close second.
Why are we whispering?
I don't know. I feel like I shouldn't have a second, like it's cheating, but it's Milk Duds.
Oh, that's a good choice.
I never buy Milk Duds. I will buy gummy bears for myself on occasion. I never buy Milk Duds because they only come in like the box, like the movie theater size box. I will not eat all of those. But at Halloween, they come in the little tiny box where you only get 2 or 3 that are always stuck together as one. And my granddaughter remembers they're my favorite. So when she goes trick-or-treating, she comes and brings me all the yellow boxes.
That is true love right there.
I know. It's amazing. My least favorite, Whoppers.
I'm with you. They're not great.
No. And no one should hand them out at Halloween. Children do not like them. The parents may like them, but no one needs them. It's just a chalky mess.
I bet you could make a really great trade with a 9-year-old who is looking to get rid of some Haribo gummy bear packs. And then you're like, exactly. Right. Like, was it, the Whoppers. Yes. So you have the Whoppers. They have the Haribos. Trade, win-win.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for sharing your candy delights with us today. I feel like we always end up talking about food on here, and I don't intend it to be that way. This is not the Beyond Sunday food podcast. That's a whole nother one. All right. So we are in week 5. Am I correct? Week 5 of the Giving Challenge. We've only got one more week after this. And this week we are talking about trading control for obedience. And Pastor Zach Zender preached a great message again. If you have not, were not able to be in a service on Sunday, go ahead and check that out in our app or online. What are you guys taking Beyond Sunday from this week 5 of the Giving Challenge?
Yeah, the scripture, Zach didn't reference it. Well, he did it in kind of a veiled reference, but it really stuck with me. Seth, help me out. Is it Matthew 25, parable of the talents, where Jesus says, whoever has been, if you're entrusted with little, faithful with the little, will be entrusted with much. Does that sound right to you?
What you said? Yes. The reference, I can't recall the specific.
Go back and listen to last week's podcast because I referenced to that then, but I don't remember.
Yeah. Anyway, but Zach was talking about habits and building generosity habits, and he specifically talked about how it's one thing to have one-time moments of generosity, and it's another thing to develop the habit to really strengthen that muscle for the long term. And I was just kind of left with that impression of like the little or the much that the Lord entrusts to us is often just a reflection of, well, God, have I been faithful with what you've given me now? And there we are. What do we have right here? Matthew 25.
Bingo! You nailed it.
I was trying to pass you that so that you could just pass it off as you knew it.
No, Seth, you deserve full credit for pulling up the Bible reference. But yeah, and so just like the idea of wherever you're at, building that habit, strengthening that muscle. I had a pastor when I was living in Texas for college, and he talked about giving on a Wednesday night service, and he said, "Here's the thing, guys. It's the right thing to do for you guys to start practicing a biblical tithe. It's not because the church needs your money." I think Zach even said that on Sunday at one point. He's like, the reality is, if you guys even are working right now, you're making $7.25 an hour, working 10 hours a week at the library, right? Like the church's bottom line is not going to be moved by you giving 10%. But it's that same principle of if you start doing the habit now, when the Lord entrusts you with more, you are going to be faithful with more.
Mm-hmm. So for me, to be taken Beyond Sunday was like, I'm a huge Indiana Jones fan.
Me too.
When he started with that illustration, I was very thankful because I know the first 3 movies front to back. So like that is my jam. But it made me think of something that as I read through the scriptures, and I'm sure I'm not the only one who's thought about this before, but when he's talking about at the beginning of the message, we're kind of rooting out idols here. We're trying to find the hidden idols that are in your heart, and money is going to reveal what those hidden idols are. And so the saying that I've thought through is, you are what you worship. And so you're not going to kneel down and like put your hands up and down over money, but what are you thinking about? What is your anxiety going towards? Your lack of money, or your wanting to gain more money? But you actually see this happening throughout the scriptures. So you are what you worship. And what is it that God's people are called when they are perpetually worshiping false idols, whatever those idols might be? On the one hand, you are what you worship, and they worship a golden calf. So no wonder why it is that the Old Testament consistently refers to God's people in those moments as you stiff-necked people. Well, what else is going to be a stiff-necked thing? It's going to be a bull, it's going to be a cow, it's going to be oxen that have this giant yoke on their shoulders because you are what you worship. And so you kind of take on the thing that you want. And you kind of see that once you start rooting around inside of your heart, you find all of the idols that are there. And now all of a sudden, like you realize how much of the pursuit of that idol determined your identity. And so for me, just having a constant reminder that yes, that is true in my sinfulness, but in Christ, I am something far more valuable than the pursuit of these things that are temporary. So that's what I'm taking beyond Sunday.
I really liked where he talked a little bit about the Israelites, and I find the Israelites and the whole their departure from Egypt and everything that followed, they're idiots. And they're whiny babies.
And so are we.
And I know, but that's what I sit there and I read it and I'm like, oh my gosh, you just got out of slavery and you're already complaining. Oh my gosh, God's giving you manna from heaven and you're whining about this. And then I think, oh gosh, does God look at us and think that? Because, oh my gosh, I just helped you with this and now you're complaining about this. And it's just it's such a twin perspective for me to read about it and to be judgy of them. And then to think, oh, that is exactly me. That is exactly what I'm doing, complaining about things. But I appreciate bringing it up again. And in this context of where they are turning to an idol and forgetting about the God who literally is feeding them each day and guiding them through the wilderness, that it's okay. Am I remembering him then when I'm turning away or when I'm feeling the slightest discomfort or anything like that? So I really just appreciated that reminder of I'm a stupid person too, like the Israelites.
Do you want to hear a really cool stupid person moment from that story?
Yes.
And so I'm sure you guys have picked up on this, but Moses comes down, sees what's going on, sees that they are like, he goes up there and God says, I will be your God and you will be my people if, and then he gives the 10 Commandments. And the 10 Commandments are actually the stipulation for a covenant or a contract. Yeah. Right? So number one, piece of the contract. You shall have no other gods before me. And what are they doing immediately? So, like Moses gets upset, cracks the commandments, and then he like gets after his brother Aaron. He's like, what? Are you serious? And Aaron is like, well, it just popped out. Like they gave all of this gold and everything, and then it just came out this way. Like, come on, man. So that's to me like the quintessential like stupid person moment of like he got called out on it, and there's no one to blame but himself, and he just comes up with this 4-year-old like understanding of like I didn't do it.
It just fell over on its own.
Exactly. I didn't break it. Yeah.
That's great.
Dina, can I ask you a question that potentially will embarrass me?
Will embarrass you? And well, sure, you can ask me something that will embarrass you.
I think I've seen Raiders of the Lost Ark once, but it's been a while.
That's embarrassing already.
Yeah.
No, it's okay.
I didn't even get to the part
It's okay.
yet.
Seth only claimed the first 3 and there's actually 5. So
I just don't know those ones as well. That's all.
Anyway, can you make the connection for me of what? So is there an idol that Indiana Jones is searching for? And Seth was just dressed up as Indiana Jones on Sweet Sunday.
Yeah.
So you guys are both pros at this. So take me and any other people that are ignorant and clearly in need of repentance.
So I think there's like a double answer here.
Okay,
so like the first answer, the scene that Zach used is where he's literally looking for this golden idol. And it's not necessarily for the money. He is interested in the history of things. So yes, Indiana is, not everyone else that's involved. And so it is literally an idol that he's trying to take. And then there's the big exciting scene with the rolling ball and the people that shoot the little things and blah, blah, blah. But the movie is about people that are searching for the Ark of the Covenant, which is this, holy grail that they want to find for all the wrong reasons so they can live forever. And it doesn't turn out so well for them, but which is a different kind of idol that they're seeking. Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You should check him out.
Clearly. Yeah. And I feel like in my own defense, it was 2 weeks ago that I was pulling out Back to the Future references from all 3 movies. And isn't that kind of the same?
Because it was Back to the Future
time frame? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it is the same time frame. Yes.
So I want to embarrass myself, but also I want to defend myself in self-righteousness.
It's great.
Yeah, there you go.
All right.
Well,
So
you
here's one more.
can keep your 80s movie sticker. It's all right. Your 80s movie badge.
So there's one more part of that scene that I think is really important when you're thinking about rooting out your own idols, right? So, of course, Indiana Jones is not trying to get the idol for himself. He loves the idea of the history that tells of humanity and the archaeology of it because he teaches archaeology classes and everything. So but he still risks his life to get this little idol. And of course, like you said, arrows are shot at him and the giant rolling ball almost rolls over him. He gets out of that temple where it was housed, stumbles, and then his nemesis takes it away from him. And I think that, like, for me, that's one of the most insightful parts of it is as you're chasing an idol, you might grab it for a short time or whatever it is. But because we're so finite and so sinful, there's always going to be someone else out there working harder for the idol that you're trying to dedicate your life towards. And so for me, that's like that little piece of the story that I was like, oh man, that hits me hard because how often do I just orient my life in a way that's not Christ-like and it will go away? That fleeting happiness or whatever it might be, your fulfillment, gone within just a short amount of time.
So short.
So here's you mentioned the point, I think this was Zach's first point, right? That money exposes or reveals what you truly treasure.
Mm-hmm.
And he mentioned all the subscriptions, right? That we, I think they even then the production team like show like an Apple TV like of all the apps that we subscribe to. I'm like, oh, how ironic is this? That same weekend, so we have YouTube TV, and that was Disney. I know you're a big Disney fan, but potentially in Disney's greed. They are
Disney
withholding.
And YouTube had a breakdown.
Exactly. And so Disney is they're not, as of, I don't know, who knows when this dispute will be solved by the time this podcast airs.
True.
But as far as I last knew, is that Disney was not allowing any of their programs on YouTube TV as of like Friday of last week. So no ABC, none of the ESPN networks. Like as we're getting into a college football weekend. And I was like, oh, it's so dumb. But it's the same thing. That's like, just as we can like from the outside see the dumbness of the Israelites, when we're on the inside of it, we feel so self-justified. And like when something is removed, that is another great reveal of an idol. Like if you are really feeling it, and like it sounds so dumb, but like I was like feeling it on Saturday. I'm like, man, now I only have 10 college football games to watch instead of 16.
Wah, wah, wah.
But it reveals where your idols are.
Yes.
And in a way that can maybe take a few steps to get there. It's like, ultimately, it is a really good thing when God, in his grace, reveals to us what is taking his place.
Mm-hmm.
Just to wrap up the Indiana discussion, number 3 is the best movie.
I would agree with you.
I would say yes. Definitely.
Yeah.
So if you haven't watched them, you can watch at least to number 3.
But you have to watch it in the right order.
Yes,
Temple
you do
of
have
Doom
to
is
watch.
actually a prequel, even though it comes out in second.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyways, let's get back to Jesus.
All right.
Yes.
How about we talk about God?
Yeah.
So Zach asked a very poignant question that I want to ask you. And he basically asked, what does your money reveal about you? What would you guys say is true for you in your own life?
Oh my goodness. When he said that, I was sitting right next to Melinda and I was like, we eat a lot of food. There's 7 people in our family. When we look at our expenses, that's what it is. But it's not like we're just eating rice and beans either. So, I mean, a lot of it has to do with, you can justify just about any expense. And it's so easy to justify food expenses. But when you actually look at what it is, it exposes that, maybe we could eat more of those black and orange wrapped old peanut butter things and just help rid the world of all 100
I'll
pieces.
bring some Whoppers to your house too.
Good. But it really does, illustrate that even a good thing like provision, like food, can be something that can be motivated or it can be exposed as an idol.
Yeah, I was thinking back to a sermon that I preached earlier this year in Connecticut, where we're in Matthew 6, where this is Jesus saying, don't be anxious about your life. And the commentary that I read said that our temptation, not even our temptation, our reality as Americans is that we turn our wants into our needs, and we turn our luxuries into our wants. And so it's like we just kind of shift everything over to where it's like the things that are actually quite luxurious and like they're not bad, but like the things that people that lived 50 years ago or 100 years ago or live on the other side of the world would never think of having. Like we think, well, that's like just kind of like a want. It's like an extension. Whereas like, well, of course we need YouTube TV. Couldn't possibly survive without that. And I was just thinking back to that, like, gosh, if I think I look at my budget and how many things are true needs, it's like the things that I justify is like, well, I need that. I need that. I need that. I'm like, no, you really don't. And again, it's all this conversation of like, God is not anti-wealth and all that sort of thing. But it's just a good check of like, well, are there some idols here that would be good for me to go through a season of deprivation to then actually know what, to actually know like, man, who is my provider and what has he given me? And to where I don't mix up my priorities.
That's why I think, different churches observe different things, but I think that's why observing some kind of season of Lent as a reboot every single year to try to remove as much additional, or have removed, I should say, as much additional dross in our life is incredibly healthy. Because Lent often is, what can I remove from my life that I've added? And I didn't even really realize that this thing, whatever it is, isn't necessary. And it's somehow distracting me from Christ. And I just find it's always helpful to have a season to do that.
My money would reveal that I spoil my granddaughters too much.
Even the best of things.
Yes. I think they need it. And Nana needs to buy it for them.
Oh, you're a Nana?
I'm Nana, yeah.
Right.
Grandma sounds too old.
I didn't see you as like a Meemaw either.
Yeah, I really wanted Meemaw. I really liked that. Yeah, my daughter said no. One of my best friends is her grandchildren call her Queenie, and I was going for that, but my daughter said no to that too.
Well, Kingy sounds weird.
Yeah,
like I'm never going to ask for that one.
Yeah. So Nana, I'm Nana.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. All right. So one of the other points that Zach made was that real transformation happens when generosity becomes a habit. How did that hit you? Or how do you find that has played out in your life?
Yeah, the kind of the daily devotionals associated with the Giving Challenge kind of focus a lot on habits. And so Atomic Habits by James Clear is never a book I've read, but I feel like I've listened to enough on podcasts and heard it referenced in sermons and articles that I feel like I've kind of read it. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you've had those before, Seth.
Particularly that book.
Yeah. And just it's just kind of like psychology and neuroscience kind of affirming what the Bible has known all along. And Zach's been doing a lot in this series in that actually our willpower is very little to accomplish the kinds of things we want to do. And so I think he says it, look here, 40% of our daily life is defined by automatic habits, the things that we just do because our system is conditioned to it. And so if we're going to experience, what the quote said, if you're going to experience transformation, right, then it doesn't require just a moment. It does require like, well, what does it look like to build a habit? And I think what I appreciated, Zach acknowledged this. He's like, this is actually probably the most challenging ask I'm inviting our campuses into, is, to do a one-time blessing of gift cards or a one-time give a gift that like will bring you blessing, bring someone else blessing. It's a one-time thing, but a habit is something that is ongoing and you don't see an end to it. You don't say, well, I'm going to give for a little bit and then see how it goes. But no, we're actually going to try and make this a regular thing. Pastor Eugene Peterson passed away a year or two ago, and his famous line was a long obedience in the same direction. And that's really where transformation happens.
Yeah, Zach said, a generous moment does not make a generous person. That stuck with me, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, I just think about it in terms of generosity is kind of like conditioning your spirit or your soul to do the things that like you have to condition your body to do if you're going to work out or if you're going to establish good habits. So like 5 months ago, maybe even a little bit, no, right when we moved. So it was right at the beginning of June. got an accountability partner, and we said that we're going to read through the entirety of the scriptures from Genesis through Revelation in 6 months. And motivation will make you say, that sounds like a good idea.
Yep.
But systems and actually setting ourselves up to succeed we were going to be accountability partners. So there was a system to check in to make sure that it was going to be an ongoing habit. But then I had to look at my life and I had to remove the things that would get in the way of developing that habit. So I deleted off of my phone all social media. And so it doesn't mean I deleted my accounts. It just means I don't have it on my phone. So
Is that why my friend request has been sitting for 4 months, Seth?
No. Sorry. For real, I'm sure I probably have a billion, not because I'm important, but you move to a new place and then people will make friend requests and then they'll just sit there because I really don't do too much on it.
To all the Millard campus, Pastor Seth loves you. He really does.
Yeah. But anyway, you have to remove certain things so that the system can work. And then I had to set notifications on my phone every morning at the same time to remind me to do it. And then on my car ride, after I drop my son off at school, before I get here to work, that's my time. So all of those systems get set up so that conditions are right so that my flesh doesn't take over and that I continue to meet this goal. And I think it's going to be the same thing for something blessed and sanctified like generosity. In order to do that, we've got to go through a reboot where we are stripping a bunch of stuff away. The scripture is seeing to it that the Spirit moves our hearts to be exposed to all the problems that we have, to remove those things that need to be removed, like deleting apps. And we have to have the accountability of a great group of Christian people that are supporting each other. And we actually have to put that in a rhythm of worship on Sundays and connect groups on Wednesdays and doing daily studies in the scriptures with the Giving Challenge. So I think that is 100% accurate because it addresses our flesh, but then it also sets us up to succeed in the Spirit. So yeah, generosity is something we got to work on.
Dina, I have a question for you.
Yes.
So at the end of Zach's message, he listed 4 or 5 or 6 kind of things you could do, right? And so we talked about a blessing fund, that sort of thing. You seem like the kind of person that you heard one of those and you really latched on to. Was there one that you really latched on to?
The giving 1% to 2% more. That is a challenge. I was I kind of get set in I'm very routine. Especially in things like giving or bills or those financial things, I set and steady. Mm-hmm. And I was I kind of hit my mark, and I do look at it each year, if my income or expenses dramatically change. But I was I don't really push myself to how much can I increase this. So that was the one that jumped out at me. And I was oh, I could probably do that. And like Zach said, I probably wouldn't even really notice in the day-to-day or the week-to-week or the month-to-month. But over time, what would that look like? Yeah.
I really love that too, because it's, the difference between 10 and 11%, right, is very marginal. But then over time, right, the difference between
10 and 20%.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's consistent obedience in the same direction.
Yeah.
So I love that quote from Eugene Peterson.
Okay, so when Zach got into the middle of his message, he was talking about, from Matthew 19, the story of the generous ruler, and he spoke about 3 truths that kind of come from this story. And I just want to hear your thoughts on each one of them. The first one was that money exposes what we truly treasure. How does that resonate with you? You kind of mentioned it already, Tyler.
Yeah. Did you say the generous ruler?
Yes. Is that? Oh, that's what I have written down.
He was the furthest thing from it.
You can tell I was a little, I was too into the generosity thing when I was taking my notes.
In Dina's defense, she's being charitable to the rich young man.
There you go.
Yeah. No, I think the biggest point, and I think Zach credited Pastor Tim Keller with this point, is that he said that he thought that money is what people most treasure. And then when Keller changed that, Zach's oh, I'm going to go with that. And it's totally right, is that it's simply a revealer or an exposer of what we actually treasure. And so if you're out there, listener, wondering, man, what am I valuing? What could be a potential idol? Yeah, just look at your credit card statement, look at your bank account, kind of see where your money, what was the Andy Stanley quote? Do it with the rhythm.
Yeah.
Got to be knowing where your money's going. Something to that effect.
With the southern drawl,
that
even.
Was the worst Andy Stanley accent. Sorry, Andy. We're old friends.
I bet Andy's a listener to the Beyond Sunday podcast.
I'm sure he is.
He and Louie will text me later on today to be like, come on, man. No.
And our listenership just went up from 5 to 7.
Yeah. And so to be able to look at, okay, where actually is my money going? I would also add to that where your time is going. Like they reveal what your priorities are and where your potential idols are. Zach put a lot of emphasis on subscriptions, but yeah, it might be on entertainment. It might be on like shopping for things that you don't actually need. It might be on like just misplaced priorities. But it exposes what is actually under the surface.
Yeah, I totally see that, particularly like when I think of the rich young ruler, yes, money can be a revealer of these things, but I think your time coupled with your money do that. And I think that's where a lot of parents need to check their hearts and their schedule with their kids, because I think their kids become their idol, not because their kid is like worthy of worship, but more so they want a different experience for their kid than they have for themselves. So they've got such a wound that becomes their idol that they then put their child in the place of the ultimate focus of their life. And I mean, I think who is going to correct that person?
Right.
For loving their kid so much.
Right.
And yet even a good thing can be warped to be in, like a focus of worship.
I really like Zach talked about you need to recognize and then replace. Like that was the things he said, to recognize where it is or where you're stumbling or where your idols are, and then replace it with something better. That's what really jumped out at me. All right. Truth number 2 is obedience is the antidote to control. How did that hit you?
Well, for me, control is something I'm always seeking. And anxiety comes from not having like confirmed that thing and not having it in my hands. And I'm not saying like hypothetically, listener, I'm saying me personally, control and anxiety and fear all go hand in hand. And just giving that all up and saying, Lord Jesus, I'm obedient to whatever your call is on this life. And my view of it is to go to the right, and you say to go to the left. My heart is going to want to go to right every single time. But obedience to you means, even though I'm afraid of what's going to happen in my life if I don't go right, and even though I'm nervous and I'm anxious about if I don't go right, because I might be able to anticipate those things better. If I go left, there's a bunch of questions that I have here. But if I go left, the one question I don't have is, are you going to be there? Whereas if I go right, he will be present, but he may not be present in grace. If I go left, I know what kind of presence I can anticipate being in him. And so for me, that is a big revealer of control and obedience. It's not saying, and the quote is not saying, if you are obedient, then you have the favor of God. It's, if you are obedient, you are coming from the point of an obedient heart already that has been changed by the gospel. And that is far more powerful, and it's more illustrative of a life in Jesus than trying to seek after the control and being God of your own life to begin with. So to me, that was one of the most impactful points that was made.
Yeah, there's such a strong gospel hook when we think about obedience. And Zach brought up the idea of surrender, which immediately takes us to Garden of Gethsemane, where talk about control, right? Control means is that you what you will gets done, and Jesus is the one who says, Father, if it be possible, take this cup from me. Yet nevertheless, not what I will, but what you will. Let your will be done. And all the way back at the beginning, Adam and Eve, Genesis 3, what was the temptation? That you would be like God, control. And they disobeyed. Jesus, on the other hand,
different garden.
He did obey. And so we find ourselves baptized in Christ, that Jesus's obedience has made a way for us to be found in this place of grace with God. And like Seth said, now on the other side of the cross and resurrection, now the Lord is shaping us and molding us to be the obedient kinds of people that don't need to give in to that kind of fleshy temptation to control, but to live out our identity in Christ and live freely.
Yeah, there's 2 points that Zach said that I wrote down, and one is to obey, is to release, control, and surrender. And that's something, honestly, I struggle with. I want to keep one hand on the steering wheel, but God, just like you're talking about the left and the right. And well, can't we go a little bit to the left?
How about the middle? We'll just go down the middle.
You know? Want to argue. But then the other thing he said is obedience dethrones idols, not by managing them, but by surrendering them. And I was like, okay, that's just knocking your idols out. Like when you're willing to just let go, they're just going to be gone. Yeah.
And like Zach really emphasized this, it bears repeating. Obedience leads your emotions. If you're waiting for yourself to feel obedient, you're never going to get there. But instead, it's like, no, I know this is what God is asking me to do. And I know I don't remember if the left direction was the correct direction.
Sure.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Like,
he
couldn't have put the right way as the right direction, but no, that's...
There's sheep and there's goats.
There you go. Yeah, there you go. I detracted myself. But yeah, the idea of dethroning idols, giving up control, and choosing obedience before you feel it and letting your feelings follow.
Yep.
And especially in light of giving, where he talked about you don't have to wait to be emotionally moved. You know that this is what God wants you to do. Not because, like you kind of mentioned, not because God needs your money. He doesn't need your money. He wants your heart. But because this is what he tells us, but you have to do it logically, not just wait for the emotions.
Yep. There is a beautiful story that actually is what we're talking about. And it's towards the end of Genesis. I think it's like Genesis 37 or 39, where Jacob finds out that his family has carried idols with them. And he doesn't wait for we'll go through some time and, we'll talk about it. The moment that he finds it out, he actually goes and he gathers up all the idols of his household. And then he goes and he puts them underneath a terebinth tree. And then the Lord removes that from their family. And they go from that point on to being a totally different kind of family as they follow him. And I just think that that's a beautiful story because Jacob and his family were followers of the one true God before that. And yet they still had idols that needed to be rooted out. And I think it's the same thing for us too, is that I would assume that the 5 to 7 listeners that are here for the Beyond Sunday podcast are followers of the Lord, with Andy Stanley and Louis Giglio. Yeah. But that also means that for us, we're going to have some rooting out to do, and we're going to have to find some idols. And there's a wonderful terebinth tree. I don't know what that is, but I'm sure there's one around here somewhere that needs to be a repository for all those idols that we have started finding out are exposed by our lack of generosity and our hunting after money and everything else that's there.
All right. So the third truth that Zach talked about is generosity habits reshape our hearts. How does that speak to you?
Yeah, the habits really is the key word there. And even just thinking about what we just talked about in terms of
terebinth trees? Is there a bridge to Terebinthia?
How did you know, Seth? But Seth, you mentioned the habit that you and your friend were you're holding yourself accountable to for reading through the scriptures and all the systems you built for that. There were probably many days where you weren't feeling it, but the habit was built regardless. And then I'd be curious to ask, where has the feeling and what's the emotional journey been? Because didn't you say earlier, I don't know if on the podcast or you just finished the Old Testament?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just finished it like 2 days ago. And right. Seriously, it was 146 straight days or whatever of being in the Word. And that's the very point that you're talking to, is that whatever it is, whether it's you're praying with the Lord every day or you're prioritizing worship every week, whatever it is, you will find that your motivation will always break down, but it's discipline and systems that will always prop you up, because there are things that are outside of you that pick you up when the inside of you has failed.
Yeah. And so I hope what you on the other side is hearing is that regardless of the habit you're looking to cultivate, in this series, we're talking about habits of generosity, is that it does require these systems that are beyond just how you're feeling. and certainly beyond like, wow, I was really inspired by this message. But to dig into your budget and your bank account and to look at, well, what is our current percentage and what would it look for us to go from a 5 to a 6%, or what could we jump to a tithe? Or there's probably someone listening here that probably could and maybe should be looking at their kind of legacy beyond, into what does giving look like beyond this life. At the end of each of our services, we have a slide that shows of all of our campuses that Pastor Greg has developed, kind of what's called our giving ladder, where kind of wherever you're at, even if this is your first time here, you can take a step onto another rung of the ladder. Maybe you've never made a first-time gift, or maybe you're looking to make a regular gift or jump up to a percentage, or starting to say no to some things in order to say yes more to the things of God and a sacrificial gift or legacy. All of these are habits of generosity that ultimately do the kind of transforming, formative work within us that we become more and more like Jesus.
I think what's great about that is like usually a ladder, you have this view of like, and I'm going up and up and up. Like, and if you give rung number 1, then you get closer to heaven, right? And then you could get rung number 2. That is definitely not it. It's just saying sometimes you have to take steps when it comes to growing in your sanctification. Sometimes you have to take time to build the right systems that work for you. And so it's not like a matter of if you climb high enough on the ladder, you're closer to Jesus. I mean, I would hope that nobody within our tradition of the faith would ever teach something like that. I mean, because with Jacob and the ladder and his vision, interestingly enough, nothing goes up the ladder or the staircase. The only things that are seen are coming down that ladder or down that staircase. So, scripturally, you don't teach that. But sometimes you do need time to be discipled and to grow. And I think that's one gift. I can give one gift. I can give a gift card. That's exercising one element of generosity. But as I pursue generosity and I see that this is something that the Lord is encouraging, I kind of want to see where he's going to lead me further than that. And it's going to take some time to get there. The Spirit can work in the moment and take me from 0 to 60. But more often than not, you'll find that the Spirit is going to take time. And if long-term change is going to happen, it's usually going to take long-term work.
I like Zach said, and I think it was from one of the books that he was quoting, you don't meet former givers. Yeah. You don't meet the people that be like, oh, well, I used to give, but now I've decided the selfish life is for me. That's how he phrased it. And I really liked that. You do find that niche for it in your life and then continue to cultivate it. It never completely goes away. I would even say when you guys were talking about the ladder, there are times where you maybe have to take a step back on the ladder. I know I experienced many years ago, my husband lost his job and was out of work for 4 months. And we were evaluating all of our expenses, including what we were giving to at that time. And I felt such shame that we were decreasing what we were giving to the church at that time. But then we were able to renew that once he did have employment again and we were more secure. And then it was something that we could continue to work our way up. The other thing I really like is Zach mentioned that money is a terrible master, but it makes a terrific servant. Yeah, that either money can control you or you can control it. A lot of people have the attitude that money controls us, that it's powerful. It is powerful, but it's not the most powerful.
And it is powerful. Yeah. But that power can be channeled towards something that's powerfully good.
Yeah, Zach at one point said, it's powerful, it's not evil. Like, yeah.
Yep. And with the story of the rich young ruler, it's powerful and it moved his heart away from following Jesus. But it's also powerful in that how many neighbors could have been loved as a result of that and could at least open the opportunity to have a conversation of where did this generosity come from? Oh, it came from Jesus. So yeah, it has a power, but it's like anything that's inanimate. It in and of itself is neither good nor bad. How it's used is usually how it's good or bad.
All right. So as we wrap up today, what are your final takeaways from this week 5 of the Giving Challenge?
Number 1, TR over here needs to watch some Indiana Jones. I think that's the biggest piece for me.
Sorry, Aaliyah, I can't watch the kids tonight. Seth and Dina says I need to watch a movie. A whole trilogy, actually.
Actually, there's 5. Plus, there's a series called The Young Indiana Jones Chronicles.
Oh my
That was
gosh.
on ABC. It was
4 and 5 aren't as good. If you just get to 3, it's okay.
Yeah, 5 is better than 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what are we taking beyond Sunday?
I really like Zach talked about it, and I know this is a little snippet of a preview of research he's doing for a future message series because we get the behind the scenes looks, but he talked about the 12 steps, and he said a quote from the people who were creating this whole process, and they said, "We admitted we were powerless over our deepest problems, that our lives had become unmanageable." And I thought that is getting to the point of surrender. And we were talking about letting go and surrendering and obeying, and I just thought that really summed it up, that we want to be able to choose that, but sometimes we got to be knocked to our knees first in order to realize how unmanageable it is and to actually turn that over.
Yeah, that is the first step, right? Admit you have a problem. And so I think it's easy to admit that when it comes to our stuff, we have a problem. We have an idol.
Yeah. The final takeaway, the kind of theme verse for the whole series out of Matthew 6, for where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. You guys were just talking about the power, the money has power. And I'm like, man, the power that would have for us to direct our hearts towards more and more of being like Jesus and living and giving like Jesus. That again, we're not waiting for the feelings to come, but actually we're going to develop the habits to do that. Long obedience, got to start somewhere in the same direction, and then see where God takes us.
Thank you guys so much for being here today. We are going to wrap up with week 6 this coming Sunday of the Giving Challenge. And then we'll be moving on to a new series coming that
this is exciting.
Plus, we're just getting close to Christmas. Christmas is right around the corner, and I'm excited I love Christmas. I love Christmas celebration. I love Jesus.
I'm glad you worked that in there.
I love baby Jesus.
We were starting to go towards Elf, but then you brought us back to the star.
I love smiling. It's my favorite. I love that too. But until this next week, when we can talk about week 6, the final week of the Giving Challenge, as we wrap this up, let's keep living our faith beyond Sunday.